Why the mind cannot stop overthinking. The mind is its own place and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. John Milton. Overthinking becomes dangerous when thought slowly replaces reality. The person is no longer experiencing life directly. They are experiencing their interpretation of life. Psychologists have found that anxious minds often overestimate danger and underestimate their ability to cope. This creates constant mental scanning. What if something goes wrong? What if they reject me? What if I fail? What if I made a mistake? The brain begins treating imagination as reality, and the body responds accordingly. This is why overthinking can create physical symptoms: fatigue, chest tightness, insomnia, difficulty concentrating, and emotional exhaustion. The nervous system struggles to distinguish between real danger and mentally rehearsed danger. In many cases, the body reacts to imagined stress as if the threat is already happening. This is why chronic overthinkers often feel exhausted, even when nothing externally dangerous is occurring. The mind never fully turns off. Sigmund Freud believed that unresolved emotional conflict continues operating beneath conscious awareness. Modern psychology supports a similar idea. Unresolved fears often continue influencing thought patterns automatically. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of embarrassment, fear of losing control. The mind keeps thinking because it believes thinking prevents pain. But excessive thinking often creates the suffering it is trying to avoid, because overthinking pulls people away from action, away from presence, away from emotional clarity. Instead of making decisions, the person becomes trapped in endless internal debate. And the longer the mind stays trapped inside uncertainty, the stronger the anxiety becomes. This is why many overthinkers secretly feel mentally exhausted all the time. Their mind rarely experiences true rest, but healing from overthinking does not mean becoming careless. It means learning that thoughts are not always truth. Psychologists who study mindfulness often describe this as cognitive distancing, the ability to observe thoughts without immediately believing them. That changes everything. Because emotionally healthy people do not believe every fearful thought that enters the mind. They learn to observe thoughts without becoming controlled by them. And perhaps the deepest psychological truth about overthinking is this: the mind often overthinks most when the heart is afraid. Afraid of uncertainty, afraid of rejection, afraid of losing control, afraid of emotional pain. But eventually, healing begins when a person realizes no amount of thinking can create a completely painless life, and no amount of mental control can eliminate uncertainty completely. Sometimes peace begins when the mind finally stops trying to predict everything and starts learning how to live despite uncertainty. And perhaps the most important realization is this: overthinking is not always a thinking problem. Sometimes it is an emotional survival response. The mind keeps searching for certainty because it believes certainty will create safety. But real peace does not come from controlling every thought. It comes from learning how to calm the nervous system beneath the thoughts. And in the next video, we will explore the psychology of mental calmness and how people can slowly train the mind to relax instead of constantly preparing for danger.